1.
Good morning. Today is Tuesday, May 20th, 2025. This is the Arlington County Board of Equalization hearings. There are 5 board members present, so there is a quorum and 6 cases on the agenda. The first case we're going to hear is RPC 18057-020, 306 North Barton Street. Mr. Bell, you can start with your 8 minutes and tell us about this property, sir.
Okay, I'll share a screen here if you can see that. Can I share screen?
Yep, and we can see it. Thank you.
Okay, you can see the charts. Okay. I've talked to the appraiser probably for a couple hours. I've been in Arlington now for 25 years, having lived in DC before that. And the legal assessment period here is September 1st to August 30th of 2024. That's the legal assessment for property sales, as you're aware of. And most of the package that was provided here, many of these pages have sales going back to 2021, and they have a tax payment, several pages of tax history payment going back to 1993. I'm not sure how that's relevant to the assessment. Okay, it sort of overwhelms the package. So my appeal here is on the land value of the assessment, not the building improvement value, but the land value where I'm located within this neighborhood district. Legally, the land and the property are 2 separate assessments. Well, I may have to get a judge to make that judgment call down the road here. The assessor claims to me, I spoke to Eddie probably a couple of hours. He's nice to talk to, at least a couple hours, but he claims that the land value doesn't really mean anything. You sort of take a combination of the 2 numbers. I tend to disagree with that. Now, this neighborhood district, which is probably outdated since Metro was built, this was probably defined 50 years ago. It runs from Clarendon Boulevard, 3/4 of a mile, all the way down North Barton Street to Washington Boulevard near Route 50. So it spans the neighborhoods of Clarendon and Lyon Park, this section of Lyon Park. I think that needs to be split since the realities of Metro and Clarendon are completely different than what it used to be. I've been told that you can make adjustments within a neighborhood for less desirable blocks. In fact, the 700 and the 800 block of North Barton Street do have an adjustment for being less desirable. Nothing to do with sales, just viewed by the assessor to be less desirable. So the blocks adjacent to me, I'm the 300 block, there's a 200, 300, 400, and note that there's no 500 and 600 block. So here are the sales that occurred on North Barton Street during this assessment period. And if you take a look at these, you can see that the sales prices are the left blue column, and the 2020, and this is the sales price during the assessment period. The total assessment today for 4 or 5 of these properties, the property is assessed for more value than the sales price. And for 3 of these properties, the land value alone is assessed for more than what it's sold for. So you're not even including the property. You're saying that the land value is worth more than what it's sold for, including the house. So my point here is that if you average that up, I think that the land value is only worth about $834,000, not $931,000. You actually see a couple properties here in the 700 and 800 block that are actually assessed down in the 800s, because that's probably due to the adjustment that's been made. So I've already mentioned this, the 4 appraisers greater than the sales price. I think that's a good presentation I can make to a judge. 3 have land values alone that are assessed for greater. And if you want to look forward, we've had properties that have sold in next year's assessment, and there are properties in Barton Street that are in the same category. Now, if you go down and look at the property at 201 North Barton Street, which is one of these properties, and I would say that was predominantly a land value. The assessor, if you look on, he deleted that. He said it was purchased by Happy Bear Ventures LLC and sold as need of a full remodel. I think that was probably purchased for land value. And that land is assessed at $951,000 with a building of 54, so it's over $1 million, and it's sold for $866,000. Now my property is just a block away from that, and it's assessed at $931,000. Now, if you go through other properties in this assessment area, which I think is 3/4 mile long, all the way up to Clarendon, next to Lyon Village, most of the houses up on the other side of 10th Street are assessed that are in the $930,000 range. Now, I know most of you here are mortgage brokers and real estate agents, and I would find that it would be difficult for you to look look at me with a straight face and say that you believe that that house lot at 201 North Barton is worth more than a building lot up in Clarendon. As most of you should know, real estate's determined by location, 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 and that last location is where you are in the neighborhood. And the questions are the lots in Clarendon worth less than a property that's down at North Barton and Washington Boulevard, which is just right near Route 50 in Penrose. The Clarendon Land Villages lots are worth a lot more than that 900, should be worth a lot more than that property right there. So that's my argument here. So what I'm asking is that the land values for these houses be also included in the adjusted land value assessment, the same as the 700, 800 blocks. I think the sales prove it. I think if you argue it before court, I think you get a favorable reading for that. And as far as I can tell, none of the people here on this board live in 22201 zip code. I don't think any of you do. So unless you actually live in the neighborhood, you don't know whether the neighborhood has issues or not. So just in my block of 300, right here, the house is right next to me. 301 is a vacant house for 10 years. It was flooded by county sewer backup, and it hasn't been inhabitable. The house across the street is a group rental. These four houses right here, 314, 318, 400, they all have illegal Airbnbs. The street is full of cars, including the overflow from Washington Lee Apartments, which I think are probably less desirable apartments than Sherfield Court, which abuts 700 and 800. That's maintained by Equity, and they tend to have better maintenance and remodeled units. We also are adjacent to commercial areas, and we have an upcoming new high-rise that's going to be built on the site of the Days Inn. So finally, I just want to say I think the county needs to redo these outdated neighborhood districts, particularly in areas now that Metro is in place. These were probably formulated back way before Metro and before Arlington was developed. And that's really all I had to say. I think legally, you look at this, you can't argue that sales are way below what the assessment value is, and including even less than the land value. They sold for less than the land value. That's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you, sir. If you can unshare your screen. Thank you. And Mr. Ulysses for the county, please.
I hope your week is going well so far. Thank you for head of today's presentation. This case is an interior inspection of the property. That's because it's entirely on the land value, not the structure. Its son is using an alternative methodology to value land that isn't consistent with how the rest of the county values land. He is taking a group of sales from the analysis period, subtracting out the improvement values, averaging what's left, and using that average as the proposed land. The appellant also raised concern boundaries as used in our evaluation model. Since that's available, limited to a view from the front. Looking at the comparable, it's important to note that all of them are either older, smaller, or larger than the subject in some way. A few specific issues to point out are that two of the condominiums, two are two don't have basements, which in this neighborhood is generally considered a negative. The company has provided a more accurate,
Ulysses, it's
well-rounded picture of the
we're all having
market.
trouble hearing you. You're going in and out.
Yeah, this is not working.
Would you like me to start over?
Yeah.
Hello?
We got.
Would you like me to?
Yeah.
Maybe he should try turning off his camera.
hear me?
That might help.
Reconnect something.
Yeah.
Turned off my camera. Does that help?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you a lot better.
Okay.
Start over.
Good morning, board members. I hope your week is going well so far. Thank you for taking the time to review the material ahead of today's presentation. I'll keep things straightforward and walk through the key points of this case. To start, the appellant has chosen not to allow an interior inspection of the property. That's because their appeal focuses entirely on the land value, not the structure itself. The appellant uses an alternative methodology to value the land that isn't consistent with how the rest of the county values land. He is taking a group of sales from the analysis period, subtracting out the improvement values, averaging what's left, and using that average as the proposed land value. The appellant also raised concerns about the neighborhood boundary. Access to the back of the property wasn't available. Our inspection was limited to a view of the front. Looking at the comparables the appellant submitted, it's important to note that all of them are either older, smaller, or less desirable than the subject property in some way. A few specific issues to point out are that 2 of the comps are owned by LLCs, 2 are on a section of Barton that is busier than the subjects, hence why they have a negative outside influence to the land value, and 2 don't have basements, which in this neighborhood is generally considered a negative. The comparables the county has provided offer a more accurate and well-rounded picture of the market in this neighborhood. You can see all the comps. You can look at the comp sheet provided by the county in your packet, which clearly shows how our selected properties align more closely with the subject. Land sales can also be found on page 6 of the packet. There are points that the county uses to set land value throughout the county. The county has applied the same mass appraisal standards to the subject property that we apply across the board in Arlington. We work to ensure that both the overall assessment and the land valuation specifically are supported by solid market data, including vetted sales and land comps. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. Thank you again for your time and consideration today.
Okay, thank you. Just for the record, Mr. Dubay, is somebody else here in case his audio does not work?
Yeah, I apologize for that. It sounds like Mr. Ulysses is having connection issues. His supervisor, George Carbajal, is here and can answer questions regarding the case or present any material that you guys may have.
Okay,
Sorry about that.
Okay, questions from board members? No questions? Okay. Mr. Ulysses, I don't know if you want to try, or Mr. Carbajal, whoever wants to do the 1-minute wrap up.
I'll give it a shot.
Go ahead, Eddie.
Go ahead.
In conclusion, the subject property was appraised using the same standard mass appraisal methodology that is consistently applied to all the properties within the county. Based on this approach, it is recommended that the 2025 assessed value be confirmed at $1 million. The assessment is both fair and equitable, as demonstrated by the comprehensive sales analysis conducted for the neighborhood, which is included in your packet for your review. Additionally, land value is well supported by comparable land sales within the same area, detailed in the second comp sheet also provided in your material. We respectfully request that the board confirm the 2025 assessment as it accurately reflects market value and maintains equity across the tax base.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Bell, if you take a minute to wrap up, sir.
I understand, having talked to the assessor for hours, I understand what procedure they're using. I just think it has a flaw. I just think that this neighborhood district is too broad. There's too many variations, going all the way up from Clarendon all the way down to Route 50. And I'm looking at the facts. I'm looking at the sales. I'm looking at the sales in my neighborhood. I'm looking at what the land value is. And when you have assessments for the property, the total property exceeding the sales price, even just the land value exceeding the sales price, I think there's an issue here. And I think that these property values are overpriced, overassessed.
Okay. Thank you both. Now it's just among the board. Where's everybody on this? Mr. Hoffman?
I mean, I'll just start with my opinion in agreeing with the appellant. I don't live in 22201, but my office is in 22201, and I walk around quite a bit. So that little pocket that's bounded by Arlington Boulevard, Washington Boulevard, and 10th Street, you're kind of on an island there, and it's very different lifestyle than being on the other side of Washington Boulevard, where you can walk through quiet tree-lined streets to get to a large, park setting. Um, Different buyer. You got to worry about your kids trying to cross Washington Boulevard. People speed down that street. So I'm very sympathetic to getting lumped in with 3-4 comps that are either much closer to Metro or contiguous to the kind of the core of Lion Park that centers around the actual park. So I don't think those properties that are close to Arlington Boulevard are worth anywhere near on the land side.
Okay, Mr. Mendez, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I was going to say the neighborhood is quite large, and there are different sections of it. I do agree with that, but the comps that the county provided, I mean, the square footage is exactly the same on comp 1. It's just under for comp 2 and just over for comp 3. So as far as the land goes, to me, it looks like it's being equally valued across the neighborhood. And I know that's the only argument. We're not talking about the improvement value. So based on that, I was okay with the current assessment.
Right, I'll just add there also, when you look at the plat map, I mean, all the surrounding properties all seem to be in line.
Yeah.
And I realize that the appellant wants to split the two, but as we know, a residential home in Arlington is assessed on land in improvements. So it's very difficult to say, well, we're going to change the land without looking at the improvements as well, because it does make up a total sales price. So I agree with Mr. Mendez. I mean, I think the sales that the county presented support the assessment, as well as the individual just land assessments on the plat map that's provided, page 7 of 63. Mr. Yates or Mr. Penrod?
I agree that, I hear what the appellant's saying, and I really tried to look at the comps that he was putting out there, but you look at the people that are the lots that are around him, they're the same. The land is the land. Everyone's being assessed the same. I don't go along with the idea that, well, the entire area needs to be dropped on their land values. And I think they're being bought to be redeveloped.
Mr. Hoffman?
I'm probably going to be outnumbered here, but let me just state one more opinion. All the land sale comps are below the assessed value of this property, right? So every single one of these land sales was an older house that got torn down and a new house got built on that lot, but none of these builders paid more than what the $1,433,200 that the county's assessed. In fact, none of them have paid more than $1.2 million of all 5 of the land sales. So if this seller were to put this property on the market, there's 2 potential buyers. There's a builder that's going to build a 6-bedroom, 5.5 bath home that's going to pay nowhere above $1.2 million. And then there's maybe a family or somebody that wants to move into this house as is, that's going to be looking at it from a totally different angle, right? And so highest and best use, in my opinion, is not land sale. It's what the actual market for houses is. So you kind of got to throw out the land sales as far as determining what the land value in that neighborhood is.
Okay, Mr. Penrod?
I'm very sympathetic to the appellant argument, but like you and Mark indicated, we really have to look at the whole value. It's very seldom that we're going to be separating one from the other, and I think the sales themselves and the comparables that the county provided are more compelling. I do see, and like I said, I'm very sympathetic just to be able to try to separate just the land And the fact itself that, no inspection was done to the property, because we're going to consider the whole value, no matter what is brought before us. And that's what we've done with every residential property. So I'm with the county and the value that they came up with.
Okay. I'm going to ask Ms. Hahn if you would turn your camera off until your case is up, please,
Okay.
as well as your microphone. Rosa, can you? Thank you.
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, well, this committee operates on motion. Would somebody like to make a motion? Mr. Mendez.
Yes, so I'm going to move that we confirm the county's 2025 assessment at $1,433,200.
Okay, do I have a
Second
second?
that.
Okay, motion is second by Mr. Penaranda. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, it's 4-1 without Mr. Hoffman. The county is confirmed at the $1,433,200. Thank you both. Okay, next case on the agenda, do we have Mr. Zember for the county and Mr. Caldwell?
Hello, good morning.
Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning. Okay, the next case on the agenda is RPC 14044-208 at 888 North Quincy Street. Mr. Caldwell, you can start with your 8 minutes and tell us about this property, sir.
Okay, I'm thinking how to organize my presentation. I think I'll start with the method of payment that actually came up in Noah's report. I'm going with the principle that the best value is comp is the actual price that was paid for any property, but I'll make an argument for that. And then at the end, maybe slip into one of the comps that Noah used and just kind of talk about some general ideas that were presented and go from there. So when I'm a first-time buyer, and so as I was looking for a condo, tons and tons of condos, I was seeing like almost always 80% of the time, and this is just like how I got here and it ties into the point of the cash payment, that the tax assessment was almost always lower than the sales price. So I was surprised when the tax assessment for my place was way over what I paid for it, and also way over the seller had a professional assessor come in and it was way over that too. So I kind of called casually just to, again, first time home buyer. I didn't talk to Noah, I talked to his manager and we were talking for a while. Again, very nice, lots of time, but I think they want to get information from you to use against you, but that's, neither here nor there. And so when we were talking, I kind of casually said, like he brought it up, he's like, well, this is your 565 is a lot lower. And I said, well, it was cash, so I might have gotten a deal. And it was kind of, again, thinking informal, not realizing this was going to be, used against me. But then, like, as I hung up, I thought about it. I'm like, I didn't really get a deal. I actually paid more accurately what this place was worth. And I'm not trying to be cute here, but just I have to do this because almost everyone pays in a mortgage, and I think cash payments are rare. But if someone paid in, let's say, like rubles, it would be not representation of the fair marketplace or the value of the property, but a premium would be put on the use of using rubles, Russian, you have to do the exchange rate. And what I'm saying here is that, like, by using cash, I didn't get a deal. I actually just didn't have to pay a premium of when high interest rates, and risk of using credit. So I actually paid within 565 way more accurately what the place is worth. And I know it's not convenient, it's but it's economics. If you talk to any economist, they took Harvard, Stanford, MIT, they'd all agree, yes, cash, that's the accurate. If you're going to buy milk and you pay cash, that's the real value. And if everyone else is using credit, probably going to be premium on the milk. But if we're trying to get the accurate price of this place, I think and so here's the thing, Noah and the manager, I forget his name, they both agree, like, yes, there was a market fluctuation with me paying cash. But the thing is, they're assuming that it's, I'm getting a break, but I'm not. I'm just paying the accurate amount, and everyone else is paying a premium that I shouldn't be penalized for. I don't know if that's clear, but I guess we can take. So I'll slip into the comps. I'll use I think Noah put down like 3 or 4. So I think there's been way too much value put on, as Noah said in that report, like the distant view of the monuments. And let me explain why. So if we look at in Noah's report, there's like property 2003, which is on the 20th floor. I'm on the 17th floor. And so Noah said, like, well, and that property was at 535,000. Mine again was 565. So Noah put like a lot of value on the floor. So that's 3 floors up. Okay. So compared to my, 17th floor, 20th floor. Noah's putting value also on, high, which I get it. Like, if you go higher up, you get more light, he said, more privacy, better view. But I'm going to stay with the less noise. But I mean, all these properties listed, this building I'm in is it's like 23. It's so tall that all those properties don't have noise. They all at certain levels, like at the 7th floor, definitely the 20th. So they all have that. I'm going to say also on the other side, it's kind of subjective. Like you get like distant monuments view here, but on the other side, the building just built a park, so it's quieter. There's no street, as you hear noises right now probably, and you can look down at a park. You also got like a sunset, so I'm saying it's kind of subjective. Like, is it really? Can you say like what a monument is worth versus a park and quietness, and they all have less and that one actually has less noise. The one I'm talking about now, like it has 2 parking spots and a storage space, and the parking spots and that's at least 20,000 each. So if you look at like 535 versus 565, and it's all coming down to this like distant monument view, which I think is just way off compared, again, with you get less noise over there, less or something, the floors, a storage space that I don't have, an extra parking space that I don't have. So that's kind of like a comp that I'm kind of go just to draw out some like how is Noah doing this? I think again it was resting on a distant monument view, which is nice, but it's not it's not a sunset with a glass of wine, right? Like it's all buried. And what's not, again, I'm going to go back, what's not subjective, like a monument view, I think, again, hardcore science, if you talk to an economist, MIT, they're going to say, yeah, Chris, he paid in cash. He didn't get a deal. He just paid the real value of the property. I'll rest on that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Zember for the county, please.
Yes. Hope everybody's doing well. Good morning, board. My name is Noah Zember. I am the appraiser for the subject property. The owner denied an interior inspection. The MLS listing was reviewed, given that it just recently sold in August 12th of 2024. This was a cash sale for $565,000. A little bit about the subject. It is unit 1704 at the residence at Liberty Center in the Boston Trend area. This is a 1-bed den, 1-bath, 788 square foot unit. It's on the 17th floor, does have a private balcony, 1 parking space. It's original unit 2008 condition, well kept. It has slight views, monument views from private balcony. A little bit about residence at Liberty Center. It was built in 2008. We've got 233 units, 20 open market sales during the 2025 analysis period. All 3 comps referenced were similar in condition and level of renovation. Unit 710 sold with an AS assessment to sale ratio of 94%. Unit 704, which I want to emphasize a little bit on, sold for $562,500. This has a current assessment to sale ratio of 98%. This is the same model as the subject. It's located 10 floors below the subject, and it has 1 parking space. It's an original condition. It has no views or anything like that. And then unit 2003, currently sold for 92% ASR. Concluding this, units on the higher floor, they do have come with a premium, like the appellant had spoke about. The subject does have a $15,000 floor adjustment and a $26,000 view adjustment, given that it's on the 17th floor, and it does have, it faces west towards DC. Unit 704, I'm sorry, east. Sorry. Unit 704 is 10 floors below the subject with no view, and it's sold for $562,000. We had 20 open market sales analyzed, and that that warranted a 4% and a 3% increase. This brought the overall median ratio to about 97% throughout the entire neighborhood. Reviewing the analysis, the subject appears to be equalized with similar size units, and I recommend the assessment be confirmed at $589,700. Thank you.
Okay, thank you both. questions from board members?
Is that quite from or to? I'm sorry.
Questions from board members?
From, okay.
No questions? Okay, Mr. Hoffman?
Yeah, I mean, I see that this property was listed in July of 24 and then sold at the list price in July, at the end of July, essentially, or maybe early August, depending on when the date got recorded. But pretty quick transaction. So I guess my question for the department is, are you viewing this as kind of like underpriced property at the time?
It was in our analysis. We did take this one into consideration. However, we did have, 20 open market transactions. And we're just able to, make a 3% increase in that ratio, got it closer to about 98%, which Arlington shoots for. So I think we just had enough data that we were able to, make this adjustment.
Okay, so it's more of an outlier sale in the overall data set.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, Mr. Zember, if you take a minute to wrap up, sir.
Yeah, just concluding, we know that these higher, the subject has a 15,000 floor adjustment, 26,000 view adjustment. I want to emphasize the unit 704 being 10 floors below, selling for about 2,500 less than the sale price of the subject. 20 open market sales indicate that, our overall median assessment to sale ratio of 97% was accurate and uniform and equitable. So I, want to recommend the assessment be confirmed at 589,000. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Caldwell, if you take a minute to wrap up, sir.
Yeah, I think Noah had glossed over floor, the 20th floor, which is priced at 535,000, which is 3 floors up. And so and then again, extra storage space and extra parking spot. And I think the view, he's, east, west, it's subjective. I think, do you want a glass of wine and seeing a sunset? Sometimes I wish I'd gone the other side because you got a roof deck, you can see the whole. So I think it's, and I think if there's an outlier here, I do think, though it's probably not convenient for the county, I do think paying cash is more accurate. And though most people play with the mortgage, I don't think I should be penalized. I don't think it's good policy. Or even fair to just get the accurate rate. By paying cash, it's actually more an accurate reflection, as any economist PhD will tell you. It says, and everyone else, sadly, I guess, or not, or maybe, you get other benefits there with reducing your taxes. The outlier is that, and Noah agreed, his manager agreed. And the only question there is it a benefit or is it an accurate reflection? And I think MIT economists will say it's an accurate reflection. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, it's just among the board members. Mr. Mendez.
Sure. I think we could probably all agree that this was a legitimate sale. It was an arm's length transaction. He did pay cash. I understand that, but there was an appraisal as well on the MLS. It wasn't a huge packet, so it was just the first page, but it was for 565. So considering the sale was for 565, the appraisal was for 565. We're sort of at the tail end of the analysis period with that sale. And the appellant's not asking for 565, he's asking for 570. Last year it was assessed at 572. So with all things considered, I might support going back to the last year's assessment. Maybe I'm alone. I'd love to hear what you guys think.
Okay, Mr. Hoffman.
I was thinking the same. Go to 572. Just keep it at last year.
What about the other sales? Mr. Panoranda?
No, I agree with Mr. Mendez. I looked it up, but also, the condition based on the pictures that are on the listing. And I don't see that, this unit is over improved or in bad condition. And, a lot of times we go by the sales prices and, that's really an indicator of what they're willing to pay. And whether this was a cash transaction or not, like Mr. Mendez said, this appraisal was done, at least it was dated June 24th. The property was listed on July 7th with that same value, same price for 565. So, you know, I would be okay granting the property owner the value they're requesting.
Mark, your microphone isn't on. I just will jump in here. I don't know. I just am concerned over, you know, he paid cash, and cash to me, we see that a lot in this market. People pay cash and then, you know, use their home equity line off another property. They use a line of credit. They go in and refi it after the fact and put a loan on it. So the cash doesn't seem an issue for me. But I look at the other sales and, you know, especially like looking at comp 2 and to, you know, put it back to 565, I think it puts it out of line with the other properties. It's on the 17th floor. I mean, it's very similar. You know, so I don't know. I can see when there's not sales, and then we take a look at, you know, the sales price of the subject property. I'm all for going ahead and doing that, but it just seems like, you know, there's plenty of property selling in this building, February, March, you know, to support the assessment. So I don't know, did Mr.
No.
Hubble just get a good deal?
No, I wasn't suggesting to go to 565. I was just trying to see what, I think he's asking for 570, but I would be okay going with what Mr. Mendez said, to go back to last year based on the sale price and the, you know, I think it was an arm's length transaction. I don't see anything unusual with that.
All right, Mr. Hoffman, you had your hand up?
Yeah, I mean, I think just if it was lower than comp 2, I would have a problem with that. But really what we get down to is the opinion of what the adjustment should be for floor value and view value, right? And so those are, you know, numbers that could come up every periodically. They do their unit study throughout the building and they come up with numbers, and occasionally they diverge from where the market actually views it. So I try to go back to the sale and just say relative ranking. I know this one's probably better than comp 2. I don't know that it's, you know, $15,000 or $26,000 better, but I know that there was a sale, you know, in July that that was open market. So that's kind of what I'm tending to lean toward.
Okay, Mr. Yates?
Yeah, the only thing I was starting to say earlier is that it did not sell overnight. It was not a next day. He had an offer, the guy took it right away. It did have some time on the market. Not a lot, but it was there. I saw it as the view. Maybe that's where something's off a little bit, because I don't believe that it jumped the way it did. And given the sale price, I was also looking at the idea of going back to last year's, and we'll see where things come and what comps come in next year.
Okay, does somebody want to make a motion? Mr. Mendez?
Sure, I'm going to move that we revert back to the county's 2024 assessment, which is going to be 572,000 even.
Okay, there's a motion on the table. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Hoffman is a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And opposed is 1, so it's 4-1. The assessment is reduced to 572,000 even.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Can I ask you a first time home? So will another bill come? I don't know how it works. Should I ask Rosa afterwards?
Yeah, you'll get a notice of what will happen, but yes, another bill will come out to you.
Okay. All right. And I can sign off?
Mhm.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, Mr. Pataluna?
Yes.
Okay, and then do we have either Ms. Gibbs or Mr. Smith?
Right here.
Okay, all right, perfect. All right, next case on the agenda is RPC 030150009, 5027 35th Street North. Mr. Smith, you can start with your 8 minutes and tell us about your property, sir.
Certainly, thank you very much. First thing, I appreciate the board taking time to review my case. I'm a first-time Arlington home buyer. I'm a military member. I performed a PCS here approximately 3 years ago now and purchased the home at 5027 35th Street North in Arlington, Virginia. If it means anything, I plan to be a permanent resident of this location for the rest of my life. So I am contesting my 2025 real estate assessment, which was marked at $2,081,000. I believe that now, based on a 2-year, year-over-year increase in the assessed value, it was increased by 8.2% from 2023 to 2024, and then an additional 8% from 24 to 25. I feel that this rate outpaces the realistic market appreciation, particularly for homes nested within the range that my house is in. This may sound somewhat of a in the weeds point, but the 2 points that I want to draw your attention to is I absolutely would agree that there's been a substantial increase in the valuation of what one might call entry-level homes in this North Arlington neighborhood because of the return to office mandate, as well as an increase in home construction costs, et cetera. And that year-over-year increase during my very productive discussions, although I did not arrive at a adequate solution with my assessor, but I absolutely would agree that the entry-level homes have increased by at least as much as I am being assessed for. The other thing I would like to draw your attention to is new home builds have also increased substantially in value, likely both as a result of return to office as well as the increase in home construction costs. Next point, comparable property analysis. So my major issue is that the methodology for what I feel is the best comp, and I'll pull that up here. If it's okay, I'll just do it as a separate Teams connection because I have it on my other computer. The best comparable is which we all agree can be assessed, which is the 3053 35th Road North. I feel like, depending on your methodology, that certainly supports that my house has been overvalued, and we can go into that in a minute. Then my second point is the other best comparable, which was also sold within the time range of the assessed, the 24 to 25 year, 3808 North Albemarle Street North. That one was not included in the either the initial or the appealed assessment because it was outside of our, I think, zone. However, materially, it shares all of the amenities. It's lot type. It's within, I know we've had a lot of discussions about what makes a neighborhood in terms of its valuation, and it has that same proximity to Jamestown, the same walkable neighborhood. So those were the two major points on that. The other thing to draw the board's attention to, so the recent market-based valuation and price discovery, there's just some discussions with the appraiser that, so I had an in-home walkthrough, and that, there may have been a mix of, things they discovered on the in-home walkthrough as well as things that they compensated for based on my appeal. I would just point out that there was price discovery when I purchased the house. It was a recent competitive, I think the term arm's length would apply, purchase. So whatever I paid for it when it was sold in January of 2022 was accurate market price discovery. So all the year-over-year appraisal increases would be tracked back to that moment of price discovery. So in conclusion, I'm new to this. I do not specialize in real estate. I specialize in, the profession of arms and medicine in the military. So I don't know all of the intricacies and the applicable codes that would best represent how you arrived at your point. I would, appeal to the grace of the board to please accurately assess the valuation of this home. And if I may, I'll just connect and show you the three just get in on that. I can just show you the 3 properties on my screen here. Perfect. So, hang on, sorry, I need. All right, tracking now. So this is the one that I think both me and the appraiser agree on. It's sold far below the Redfin Zillow market estimate. However, it did sell above the county assessed to sale ratio, right? But that's on a year-over-year increase that dates back to its prior sale, which I believe is many, many years in the past. So I just want to draw attention, it was far below the market estimate, even though the methodology shows that based on the assessed to sale ratio, that it supports my property assessment. I take issue with that methodology in this case. The next one, this is the house that's not being included. I marked here on my screen. The red X is my house, and then this house is the blue outline. It's not on a major road. It shares all of the amenities, and it also was far, far below market value, but it was also in that 1.5 to $2.3 million home range. And it was initially marketed, I think, over 2 million, and it ultimately sold for what did it sell for? I think 165 or something like that. Yeah, 165. So like a major difference. Its square footage is very close. It is an older house. Yeah. And then finally, this is the final house that was used as a comparable, which is on a major or moderate thoroughfare. So most of the comparables that were in the final analysis were not as great as I think, but it's a limited number, which me and the appraiser certainly agree on. That's it for me. Thank you again, and appreciate the board's time.
Okay, thank you, sir. Mr. Pataluna for the county, please.
Hi, yeah, thank you.
Oh, wait a minute, hold on 1 second. Let's just get there we go. Thank you. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, yeah, good morning. An interior and exterior inspection was performed on February 4th. The subject's neighborhood of 502007 increased on average of 5% due to the sales. The property is mostly original. The basement is carpeted with recessed lighting. Being a 2-story, 3,700 square foot home, the subject's property's quality of excellent plus appears in line with the neighborhood. The subject's total value change from 2024 to 2025 was 4.9%. The average home built in 2008 in the subject's neighborhood increased on average of 4.7%. Sorry. That indicates the appellant's property is being assessed fairly with the rest of 2008 built homes in the area. Appellant submitted 3808 North Albemarle Street and 5053 35th Road North as comps and are reviewed in further detail on page 3 of the packet. Some of the appellant's comps are provided by the department as well in our sale comps on pages 5 and 6 in the packet. They are provided not as direct comparable properties, but rather to demonstrate what market value is for smaller, in some cases older homes. The 2025 assessment has been revised to $2,081,000 after the inspection of the property. This amount is considered as fair and equitable based on the sales analysis that was done for the neighborhood. We recommend the board confirms the revised assessment value to $2,081,000. Thank you.
Okay, thank you both. Questions from board members? Mr. Mendez.
This is for the county or the appellant. I noticed in the packet that the property says that the subject property only has 4 full bathrooms, but I look on the MLS and it says 5. Do we know which one of those is correct?
5.
5 full bath and 1 half bath? Okay.
I think.
Okay, because I think the county has it as 4 full bath. Is that correct?
Maybe 4 full baths and a half bath.
We have it as 5, looks like 5 full baths and 1 half bath.
Okay, maybe it's just on the comp sheet then.
Yeah, the narrative says 5.5.
Okay.
I believe.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Mr. Hoffman?
It just seems like there's a lot of weight being placed on comp one, because that's the only one with a recent sale that's kind of within a, 1 or 2% of the subject. So my question is on comp one, has there ever recently been an inspection done? It looked like there was a sale prior to the most recent sale. So you've got kind of like two trades in rapid succession. And sometimes when that happens, it's because somebody's buying and improving and then flipping. So I just want to know, if you could kind of talk through comp one, why you think that house is worth, $2 million or whatever it's sold for, 2075, as opposed to the other comps, which are, all below 1.8.
Yeah, so looking at 48, 36, 33rd Road North, so it is smaller in square footage. The basement area is smaller. It's more of the quality condition of the home. So we have it as an IV minus compared to an excellent plus. And it's a newer home built in 2017 with the effective age of 2017 compared to the appellants where it's 2008. So it's really more of the age and the quality of the home are what we're going by, is why it's a more, I guess, higher quality, just in general.
So IV minus is below excellent plus, right?
No, it's above.
It's above because it's new.
Yeah.
It's newer construction. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. I don't have anything else.
Okay, I'm sorry. No other questions?
No.
Mr. Pataluna, if you take a minute to wrap up, please.
Yeah. So again, we recommend the board confirms the revised assessment of $2,081,000. Focusing on comparables 1, 2, and 3 on page 5. If they can sell for 1.9, 1.6, and 1.4 million respectively, then the subject's assessment seems fair.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Carlton, if you take a minute to wrap up, sir. Or I'm sorry, Mr. Smith.
Oh, certainly. I think it's very close to being fair, but I do think it's a little higher if you, as stated, if you take 1, 2, and 3. I think if you include that final comparable that I propose that's not being considered, again, because of the bounding, I think you would arrive at a very different number for my house. I think as I proposed, and I feel like I can honorably state this number. 2,030,000. I can look at you with a straight face and tell you I think that's what this house would sell for today because of, again, two comparables that based on true accurate market discovery, which is what Virginia code states that we assess by. And if there's, the tie goes to the runner in cases of uncertainty. Over.
Okay, thank you both. All right, it's just among the board for folks. Mr. Yates? Turn your microphone on, please.
So sorry. I'm comfortable with the county's assessment. I've looked at i.e. comp one is one of the examples and the price it sold at, the differences between the houses, even in the land value, the acreage or the square footage, excuse me, not acreage. I think it'd sell. I think that's the price.
Okay. Other folks? Mr. Penaranda?
I agree. I'm okay with the current assessment the way it is. I think the square footage is the main little difference from the comparable number one. But also, by driving around and looking at the assessments of adjacent properties and the ones across and in the area, I'm okay with the assessment the way it is.
Okay, yeah, the revised, because it went down 200.
Yes, the revised.
Revised.
Okay, anybody else different? Okay, somebody like to make a motion?
I'll go ahead and move that we confirm the assessment at $2,081,000.
Okay,
I'll
Mr.
second.
Yates is a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, it's unanimous. The county's revised number of 2,081,000 has been confirmed. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Okay, we have Mr. Zember back. And
Yes.
I saw her earlier. On. Rose, is she on?
She's on, she's just not responding.
She may have stepped away. Are the Abners on?
There she is.
Oh, is she?
Hi.
I don't see her.
I
Did
just
you-
need her.
Okay, there she is. All right, Mr. Abner, we're going to go ahead and take that one in order. So I'll have you turn your camera off for a minute, for a couple minutes.
Okay, no problem.
Thank you. Okay, so next case on the agenda is RPC 22001-284 at 750 South Dickerson Street. Ms. Hahn, you can start with your 8 minutes and tell us about your property.
Okay. No, good morning. Esteemed member of Board of Equalization, I stand before you today to respectfully request reconsideration of the assessed value of my condominium unit. While I understand that property with premium lot and higher elevation often command higher price, my unit situation as a ground level, like English basement style, inherently lacks these advantage and in fact present significant drawback that directly impact its true market value. Think about it, a ground level unlike unit like mine is naturally more susceptible to the threat of the flood, a serious concern that any prudent buyer just would carefully consider. Furthermore, being partially below ground means consider the challenge with moisture, fluctuating temperature, and limited access to natural sunlight. These are not just minor inconveniences, they are further fundamental factors that just diminish the desirable and consequently the market price of property. If being on the ground floor held the same value as a higher level, the established premium for those upper units simply would not exist. Arlington County just assessed as based on the market value. That means, a willing just buyer and willing seller just would agree upon under normal market condition. Now put just yourself in just the shoes of a willing buyer. Would you just not factor the insignificant cost of just associated with the extensive just repairs and my unit urgently need? Shortly after I purchased the property on June 10th of last year, which means 2024, a serious critical just issue just came. These including just broken garbage disposal, demanding sink, a damaged sink and countertop, deteriorating just kitchen cabinet, bathtub, and compromised floors in both the kitchen and bedroom. The fact that previous owner just concealed these defects. And that just the described update by just Mr. Noah just turned out to be in need of just immediately replace of repair and left me facing just a repair cost estimate to be over 10,000. This is not about the wanting upgrade. It's about addressing fundamental habitually issue that directly reduce the unit market appeal and value. Consider the evidence just unit just at just 5111 8th Road, unit number 112. Unit just not on the ground level and in good condition, sold for the 180,000 on just September 29, 2023. As just Mr. Noah himself just pointed out. Furthermore, just unit 750 just South Dickerson Street, unit number 7, currently on the market, superior condition, and then ground level, same as mine, is listed 174,900. These recent sale of comparable yet price superior unit of significantly just lower price clearly demonstrated that the current assessment value of my unit at just 195,400 is simply not in line with just the reality of the market, especially when you just factor in inherent disadvantage and the necessary repair. Let's talk specifically replacing that broken garbage disposal alone could just cost up to just $300. Alarming the just electric panel may require just a complete overhaul or potentially cost as much as 10,000. The water damage just around the sink is actively weakening the countertop, meaning its replacement is imminent. These are not just minor fixes. They represent a substantial financial burden that any potential buyer would have to shoulder. Given the inherent limitation of ground level English basement unit, the significant and immediate cost of the essential repair, the clear evidence from the comparable sales of better position units selling for less. I respectfully urge the Board of Equalization recognize to clear overvaluation in the just current assessment. The assessment value 195,400 just simply does not reflect the true market value of the property. A fair equitable assessment must take into account the disadvantage of the location and just consider of just financial burden of these necessary repair. I implore you to adjust the assessment to accurately reflect the true market value of my unit. Thank you. That's all.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Zember, if you, please.
Yes. Good morning again, everybody. My name is Noah Zember. I'm the appraiser for the subject property. I wanted to make a quick update to the BOE package that you guys have and let you know that the subject property was physically inspected on May 2nd of 2025.
Correct.
It's a little bit about the subject unit. Unit 7 at Columbia Knolls condo. It's a 1-bed, 1-bath, 851 square foot unit. It's on the ground level. Freshly painted, new hardwood floors throughout the living room. Both the kitchen and baths have been updated. Little bit about the Columbia Knolls condominium. It's a 5-story condo slightly north of the Columbia Pike. It is 3 separate buildings as well throughout the neighborhood. It's built in 1961 with 190 units. We've got 5 open market sales during the 2025 analysis. The comps referenced below were similar to the subject in bed and bath count and within 100 square feet in size. We had unit 112, unit 202, and unit 107 were the three comparables used. Unit 112 sold for 180,000 with the current assessment to sale ratio of 99%. We've got unit 202 sell for 215,000 with the current assessment to sale ratio of 89%, and unit 107 sell for 200,000 and has a current assessment to sale ratio of 98.6%. Reviewing all sales in the neighborhood, we did a 15% increase in the model base rates. It's justifiable. It brings our assessment a lot closer to what a typical unit is selling for in the neighborhood. Columbia Knolls, it's an older building. The wear and tear brought to our attention by the appellant. It's typical for buildings of this age. We haven't seen any quantifiable data that indicates ground level units are less desirable to upper level units. We have no floor or view values associated throughout the buildings. The subject was also just purchased by the appellant on June 10th, 2024 for $190,000 and is currently assessed at $195,400. After reviewing, the subject appears to be equalized with similar size units, and I recommend the assessment be confirmed at $195,400. Thank you.
Okay, thank you both. Questions from board members? Mr. Hoffman?
Yeah, just one real quick for Noah, because it looks like there's kind of the two buildings that have one entrance off at 8th, and then the third one is off Dickerson, I guess. They're all same association, same management, all that, or is, yeah?
Yes, sir. Yes,
okay.
Sir.
All right. That's all.
Mr. Penaranda?
Yes, this is for the property owner, Ms. Han.
Yes.
You mentioned there's a unit listed for 174,900 or something?
Yes, that's unit number 750, unit number 4. That's 174,900 right now. And then I sent you the when I application that just picture showed there has a flood on I think March 31st, 2005. There has just a flood. So besides the other side, there has a flood, and the social room was flooded. And then my building is just under the two buildings. So okay. That's why that's the and then I mean Noah mentioned that square feet is just mine is a little bit higher, but it's not that fact for the just flood danger or something like that.
I understand. Thank you. I just needed to know about the listing that you mentioned, but that's all. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, Mr. Zember, if you take a minute to wrap up, please.
Yes, thank you. Reviewing all the sales in the neighborhood, the 15% increase in the base rates is justifiable, brings our assessment a lot closer. Typical for Columbia Knolls are for older buildings to see wear and tear brought to the attention. Subject also was just purchased by the appellant on June 10th for $190,000. It's currently assessed at $195,400. And we haven't seen any quantifiable data that ground level units are less desirable than the upper level units. So I recommend the assessment be confirmed at $195,400. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Han, if you take a minute to wrap up, please.
Yeah, just as I mentioned, the flood and then just the premium lot, and then who's gonna just purchase the flood danger unit. So that's what I said, and then it's a lot of repair cost right now currently, and then when I purchased it, I didn't know that the defect comes out. Thank you.
Okay, thank you both. All right, it's just among the board. Sounds. Go ahead, Mr. Mendez.
Sure. I mean, 15% off the bat, that was a pretty large increase. So I thought that was noteworthy, but there are comps to support it. So, the subject property itself was on market for 48 days. They listed it initially for 199,000, and the appellant came in and bought it 190 cash. So that is a legitimate sale by my estimation. So I would probably just go back to the sales price.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like there's sales in the building. Again, I defer to a sales price when there isn't sales. The issues, with the flooding, that's, the garbage disposal, this is maintenance, this is homeownership, and taking care of, the property. If there was a flood and it was at, somebody else's problem, there would be a, insurance claim. Even if there was a flood, that was caused by the appellant, there would be insurance that would have taken care of that. So I'm confused over that. I think the 190 was a good price for it. The other sales in the building support it. I'm fine with the assessment. Mr. Yates?
I agree with you in the fact that, yes, the others sold. Yes, the others have been fixed up a little more. The comps are not out of line. There's lots of sales in the building. I'm sure they have various levels of renovation, and it's maintenance. Someone would buy that unit and expect to spend a little money and fix it up if she put it on the market today. But the comps are there and the sales are there.
Mr. Miranda?
Yeah, this is a condominium project or a community that I'm pretty familiar with. I used to own a couple units there, and this has been a community that has gone from going almost bankrupt to a lot of maintenance issues. Plumbing has had problems with it, but they recovered. And I know in the last few years they've also had budget issues. So I know the condominium fee has increased, and that may be one of the reasons that maybe sales prices are going to be coming down a little bit. But based on the comparables for this assessment year, I don't see, a reason why we need to reduce from what it is right now. I'm sure the unit that's listed right now will probably sell fairly quick, but even though the condominium fee, like I mentioned, is pretty high for a one-bedroom unit for the area. But based on what we have at this point, I think current assessment is okay.
Okay, Mr. Mendez?
I just wanted to point out the reason why I was okay with going back to the sales prices, because I don't know if it went from 190, which is sold for on the open market, to 195 in the following January, 6 months later. So I would stick to what I said, but I could see it going back to the county's original as well. I don't think that's too far off.
Right. Okay. Any other comments? All right, then I'm going to move to confirm the county at the 195,400. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, motion is second by Mr. Penaranda. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, it's 4-1 without Mr. Mendez. The county is confirmed at 195,400. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we still have Mr. Zember, and now we have Mr. Abner, who was on earlier. There you go. Ms. Hunt, there we go. Okay. The next case on the agenda is case 5, which is RPC 25021-096, the property at 953 South Rolfe Street. Mr. Abner, you can start with your 8 minutes and tell us about this property.
Yeah, first a question. Is there any way, because both properties are in the same condo complex, can we just, I'm not going to take a lot of your time. I don't have much to add outside of my submission, but because they're in the same complex, can we tie them together? Just assume we're talking about both.
Yeah, I would assume, Mr. Zember, I assume you don't have any issue with that?
No, ma'am.
Okay, all right. That's fine. You can proceed, Mr. Abner.
Great. Okay. Well, like I said, thanks for taking some time. So just quick overview of both properties. So it's West Hampton Mews condo complex. It sits down by the Air Force Memorial on Columbia Pike. So I think a few things have kind of slowed the growth and actually have detracted from the sale price and listings in this community. There hasn't been a lot of activity recently. You're just talking about some of the issues that maybe another community was having. This community had some structural issues that were identified, 5, 6, 7 years ago. Condo started work on them. Then another structural issue was identified. I think we've found that there might have been some construction defects back in the 70s when these were built that are leading to, some concrete rebar being exposed around the community. It's led to a pretty sizable project that the community has had to work through. So referring to the 3-bedroom condo fees, they're the same across the community, whether you're in a 2-bedroom or a 3-bedroom, but condo fees went from $250 5 years ago to where they are now at $750. So I just did the quick math while I was waiting for my turn here, but that's 25% a year increase, and up 3 times. So I think that's one issue. And I know this market can tolerate condo fees that are that high. There's no amenities here. You have a parking lot, no gym, no pool, nothing like that. So your condo fees are really just paying for landscaping, maintenance around the property, and any structural issues that come up. Another thing I think has impacted, I know this is temporary and will pass, and I think it will help when it's done, but the construction on Columbia Pike is kind of right at the doorstep of this community now. So I think as properties have been listed, when you first drive in, it's just, first impression is huge. You're driving in and you're seeing all the construction, you're seeing the construction inside the community. There's still some scaffolding up, but no, I'm sure you saw that when you were there. But the upper unit residents are having to walk up scaffolding to climb over their balcony kind of bar to get into their sliding door upstairs while their landings are being repaired. So, I am hopeful that some of this is temporary, but I do think the value today has definitely been impacted by a combination of these factors. Both of these units are lower level units, which, I wasn't going to highlight it here, but, I think there's, it can be debated which one carries a higher premium, the upper unit or lower unit, but I think generally upper units, we're not talking about, I don't think any views here, just given that they're not that high, only 4 stories at the top of the upper units. But these are both lower units. Let's see my other notes here. Just the timing of the comps. I've had discussions. I understand kind of the period that these are assessed at. When I was filling out the form, and the reason I wanted to come back was that, the question was like, what's the value on January 1st, 2025? And I think the 2 comps provided, there's not a lot of variability between units. Like some may have been updated, but I think all the units are, layouts are very similar. Both the comps are the upper units. They were both listed in the fall, so right around the assessment period at 10-15% higher than what they actually 20%, maybe 15% higher than what they actually sold at. And we all know it doesn't matter what you list it at, it's what it trades at. So they were listed in the fall, continue to come down into the winter, and then in January both 2-3 bedrooms in the community sold for under 500,000. So I think 499 and 495 or somewhere around there. So when I saw that, it was like, okay, clear indication to me that the values have come down quite significantly for the number of factors that I just discussed, and they sold right after January 1st at a pretty significant discount to what the current tax appeal is, or what the current tax assessment is at. I there's been a lot of places listed in the community that have been brought off market, and you know, I'll keep my eyes on it. The next day I'll see them up for rent on one of the rental platforms. I think people just understand that there's not much of a market here for the homes right now. So yeah, thank you for considering, and happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Zember for the county, please.
Yes. Yeah, so the homeowner denied an interior inspection. However, the past listings was referenced for both of the units. Subject is 927 South Rolfe Street, Unit 1 at the West Hampton Mews. It is a piggyback style condo, 2-bed, 2.5 bathroom, 1,224 square feet. However, then there's the other subject is 953 South Rolfe Street, Unit 1 at the West Hampton Mews, piggyback style, 3-bed, 2.5 bath, 1,584 square feet. I wanted to, we did do a neighborhood walk of the property, and I wanted to direct the board to page 30 of the analysis package. And as you can see on that, it should be an aerial imagery. Both the subjects are the stars that I've, highlighted. And the area of work at the time of our inspection was going on was where the red circle is. So that's where majority of the physical work was being done. The appellant references two comparables, 949, 969 South Rolfe Street. These sold outside of our analysis period on January 31st for $495 and January 9th for $485,000. One of the comparables I wanted to make a note of as well is in the remarks, it indicates that owners going overseas dropped the price nearly $70,000 below the tax value to sell it quickly. So that was just a quick note. West Hampton Mews was built in 1979. We've got 70 total units. We had one open market sale. We used that comparable sale for both the packages, or for both the cases. It sold for $550,000. It was the only sale we had, and it has a current assessment to sale ratio of 100% of fair market value. And then we used an assessment comparable both of each model to show uniformity and equability throughout the neighborhood. Concluding this, based on the sales data, the one sale that we had, we did propose a 9% decrease to the model base rates. The neighborhood walk showed the units that were physically affected by the ongoing work. The subject wasn't one of them at the time of the inspection. The two sales referenced by the appellant were outside of our analysis period. However, both sales give us an inclination that market values may be decreasing throughout the neighborhood in the future. I will say we did run our analysis, at the end of November 15th, I reran the analysis to see if both those active listings had closed yet. However, both of those did not close yet, but finally ended up closing in January. So after reviewing the analysis, the subject appears for unit at 927 South Rolfe Street, Unit 1 to be is recommended the assessment be confirmed at $462,500, and the subject at 953 South Rolfe Street, Unit 1 to be is recommended the assessment be confirmed at $553,500. Thank you.
Okay, thank you both. Questions from board members? No? Okay, Mr. Zember, any final comments?
Yes, sorry. Yeah, we did propose the 9% decrease to the entire neighborhood based on the one sale that we did have. I reran the analysis in late November to see if those sales were going to come in, if those sales were going to close. However, they didn't. So I think that the subject appears to be equalized with similar size units, and I recommend it be confirmed. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yes,
Mr. Abner, do you have any final comments?
Sorry, just the terminology. So be confirmed at what was already decided on, or be confirmed at my recommendation, or stay at the county's recommendation.
The county's asking to confirm their number.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I think the best indication of value at January 1st is the two most recent sales. I mean, I understand, I guess next year those will maybe carry more weight, but I think if you're trying to come up with a value of January 1st, you would use two, very comparable, it doesn't get much more comparable sales than that, and those are listed well below what the county's recommending the assessment at.
Okay, thank you both. All right, it's just among the board. I would just say on that last comment, unfortunately, there's an analysis period for a reason so that they can do these, multiple assessments, and they came out after the assessment was already done. So he is correct that will affect more next year. So where is everybody else on this? Mr. Penaranda?
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, they've already had reductions, and I think the whole neighborhood has been affected. But I think it's equalized with all the other units I've seen. Some of the 3 or 2 bedroom units assessments, and I think they're pretty much equalized. And like Mr. Abner indicated, I think this is going to be, the recent sales. So this is going to be affecting next year for this year. So I'm okay with both assessments the way they are right now.
Okay. Mr. Hoffman?
I think the county's reduced both properties year over year. I think that's probably trending the right direction, especially given some of the challenges on Columbia Pike there. So we'll see where it goes next year. But I think, if it had gone the other direction, I'd be stating a different case.
Right. Okay. Anybody different?
Sure. No.
All right, then on the RPC ending 096, I'm going to move to confirm the county at the 553,500. Do I have a second? Mr. Yates, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. That is unanimous. It's confirmed at 553,500. And on the second case ending in 070, I will again move to confirm the county at 462,500. Do I have a second? Mr. Yates again, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, that's unanimous. That too is confirmed at the 462,500. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Hopefully the work in Columbia Pike will be done this time next year as well.
I hope so.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming. Anyway,
have a good
okay,
day.
that completes the agenda. Does anybody have any other business?
No.
No? Okay, then we will stand adjourned at 10:29. Reconvene tomorrow morning, May 21st, 9 a.m. in person for board members. And that does it. We will see you tomorrow. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.